I'm Sarah, a 34-year-old high school teacher with a knack for seeing the best in people, a trait that often defines my relationships, but sometimes complicates them too. It was a warm Saturday in June, perfect for a family BBQ in the spacious backyard of our suburban home. My husband, Mike, was focused on grilling, his usual ceremonial precision turning the process into an art form. The air was thick with the smell of barbecue and freshly cut grass, yet beneath the surface there was tension. "Sarah, you should really try talking to Laura more," Mike had suggested earlier while prepping the ribs. "She feels like you don't like her." I glanced over at Laura, animatedly chatting by the garden. "I'll make an effort," I agreed. "Sometimes I think she just misreads what I say." As the afternoon wore on, I found myself cautiously engaging Laura in conversation about work and hobbies. She had recently started a new job and was both eager to share and visibly stressed. "It's just so hard," she confessed, nursing her drink. "Everyone expects me to fail." I tried to offer comfort. "Everyone feels out of place at first. I remember when I started teaching, it felt like I was on trial every day. But you grow into it. Not everyone's going to be your cheerleader, and that's okay." My words, meant to reassure, seemed to land wrong. Laura's face stiffened. "So you think I'm not capable?" "No, that's not what I meant," I rushed to clarify. "I'm just saying it's normal to feel." But she had already turned away, walking over to her husband Derek, who was flipping burgers nearby. His head snapped up, eyes narrowing as he caught the gist of her recounting. The rest of the afternoon passed with a strange silence between them. As dusk settled and the guests trickled away, I decided to clear the air. I approached Derek, who now stood alone by the porch. "Derek, I think there's been a misunderstanding with Laura." "I didn't mean—" "Save it, Sarah," he interrupted, his tone sharp. "You always act so superior, so judgmental. Laura doesn't need your kind of support." His words stung because they couldn't have been further from the truth. "Derek, I genuinely—" "You genuinely what?" "Look down on us." His voice was rising and he stepped closer, his presence suddenly intimidating. "You disrespected my wife at my brother's house." Before I could respond, he shoved me hard. The world tilted as I stumbled backward, the wooden steps jarring against my spine as I hit the ground, pain shooting through me as I landed on the cold concrete. The murmur of concerned voices blurred around me as Mike rushed over, his face a mix of disbelief and worry. After the incident, an uncomfortable silence hung over our home. Mike helped me inside, gently applying an ice pack to my bruised elbow. His expression was clouded with concern, and something else I couldn't quite place. "Sarah, he didn't mean it," Mike started, his voice low. "It just got out of hand. Derek's under a lot of stress." I pulled away slightly, the ice cold against my skin. Mikey pushed me down the stairs. "That's not just getting out of hand. What if I had broken something?" I know it's bad, but he's my brother. He's apologized, hasn't he? Can't we just consider that maybe he didn't mean for it to go that far?" His words hung between us, the weight of unspoken truths pressing down. "An apology doesn't change what happened," I said firmly, "and it doesn't make it okay." Over the next few days, as my bruises turned from deep purple to a sickly yellow, I began documenting everything. Not just my injuries, but every strained interaction with Derek and Laura that I had brushed aside. I revisited old conversations, texts, and emails, piecing together a pattern of behavior I had long excused. One afternoon, over coffee, I cautiously brought up the topic with Jenna, my cousin who had always been more like a sister. "Jenna, have you ever felt uncomfortable around Derek?" She paused, her cup halfway to her lips. "I thought it was just me," she admitted. "Last Christmas, he made a comment about my job search, like I wasn't cut out for real work." He laughed it off, but it stung. Encouraged by Jenna's honesty, I reached out to others. Mike's aunt and uncle, who had distanced themselves from family gatherings, old family friends. The stories poured in, some hesitant, others angry, but all relieved to be heard. Piece by piece, I wove together a tapestry of intimidation and casual cruelty, hidden behind Derek's charm and easy apologies. Armed with these testimonies, I began a discreet file, documenting everything, not just for my peace of mind, but more than a defense, it was a record of truth. Each conversation, each shared experience from others strengthened my resolve. This wasn't just about a fall down the steps. It was about standing up to a bully who had hidden in plain sight, shielded by the family's reluctance to acknowledge who he really was. One late night, as I organized the evidence, papers, digital recordings, and screenshots, Mike found me at the dining table. His eyes were clouded with concern. "What are you doing, Sarah?" he asked, the worry lines around his eyes deepening. "Building my case," I replied, my voice steady. "Because next time, and with Derek, there's always a next time, I'll be ready to show everyone exactly who he is." The plan was simple in concept, but complex in execution. Organize a family gathering under the pretense of reconciliation, but with the real goal of exposing Derek for the aggressor he was. I needed this not just for my own vindication, but for everyone who had silently suffered. The date was carefully chosen, a weekend when everyone was available, no excuses for missing. Invitations went out, and I made sure to speak to each person personally, ensuring their attendance. "It's time to clear the air," I'd say, a half-truth that weighed heavily on my conscience. As the gathering approached, I reviewed my collection of evidence: texts, emails, recorded testimonies, a litany of aggression hidden behind closed doors. Mike watched with furrowed brows, but he said little. His silence felt like a storm brewing just over the horizon. The day arrived, deceptively calm. The house buzzed with guests, their greetings and small talk layered over the tension simmering underneath. Derek and Laura were the last to arrive, Derek's smile strained, unaware of what was about to unfold. Once everyone was settled with refreshments in hand, I stood up, tapping my glass lightly. The room hushed, all eyes on me. "I want to thank everyone for coming today," I began, my voice steady. "I know things have been difficult lately, and it's important we address the elephant in the room." Derek's eyes narrowed, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. Laura's hand tightened around his, her knuckles white. "I've always believed in transparency and honesty within a family," I continued. "Recently, I was hurt, not just physically, but emotionally, by someone I trusted." My gaze locked with Derek's, challenging him to look away. He didn't. "What happened to Sarah was unfortunate," Derek interjected, standing to take control. "But it was an accident, and I've apologized. We're family. We should be moving past this." There were murmurs in the room, a mix of agreement and uncertainty. This was the moment of truth. "It was no accident, Derek," I countered, pulling out a folder. "And it wasn't the first time." I turned to the projector behind me, clicking through the emails, texts, and recordings I had collected. Aggressive messages, dismissive apologies, voices from those he had bullied or hurt over the years. One after another, the evidence piled up. The room grew eerily quiet as the voices from the recordings played on. Each testimony, each piece of evidence painted a picture of a man far removed from the charming brother-in-law he pretended to be. As the weight of the evidence mounted, so did the discomfort in the room. Family members glanced at Derek, then quickly looked away, unable to meet his gaze. His usual defenses faltered, slow and ineffectual. "This isn't what it looks like," Derek stammered, his confidence crumbling like a punctured balloon. "It's exactly what it looks like," I said softly, the room heavy with the weight of truth. Abuse hidden behind apologies and dismissals could no longer be ignored. The fallout was immediate. Conversations broke out across the room, not whispered, but open, raw dialogues about experiences and grievances long buried. Derek, once the life of every family gathering, found himself isolated, the social fabric he'd carefully woven unraveling around him. As people began to leave, some cast sympathetic glances my way, while others avoided Derek entirely. By the end of the evening, it was clear the family dynamic had shifted irrevocably. Derek's carefully built image was nothing more than a house of cards blown away in the wind. When the last guest left and the door clicked shut, Mike put his arm around me. His earlier reservations had melted away in the face of the undeniable truth. "I didn't realize how bad it was. I'm sorry." "It's not just about us," I replied, leaning into his embrace. "It's about setting things right. No one should feel unsafe in their own family." In the quiet that followed, I felt a sense of closure, a battle fought and won, not just for myself. Derek's downfall wasn't something to celebrate, but a necessary step toward healing a fractured family. In the weeks following that pivotal family meeting, the repercussions of his actions began to surface. While I chose not to press legal charges for the incident at the BBQ, others who had endured his bullying and aggression were less forgiving. Complaints were filed, and several family members and former colleagues who had shared their stories with me took their grievances to formal platforms. The collective weight of their actions began to tip the scales toward accountability. Derek's career, once buoyed by his charismatic, if sometimes overbearing, personality, started to suffer. Word of his behavior seeped into his professional circles, affecting his consultancy business. Clients withdrew, not wanting to be associated with someone embroiled in public accusations of misconduct. Socially, invitations dwindled, and whispers at gatherings could no longer drown out the truth of his actions. As for me, the aftermath brought an unexpected sense of uplift. Support from family and friends, once hesitant to confront Derek, now flowed freely. Jenna and others thanked me for taking a stand, for giving them a voice when theirs had been silenced for so long. Mike, too, stood by my side, his earlier conflicted loyalties now resolved by the undeniable evidence. Our relationship, tested by the strains of confronting his brother, emerged stronger, fortified by honesty and mutual respect. Empowered by the collective support, my sense of self-worth and confidence soared. No longer did I question my instincts about Derek or wonder if I'd been too harsh. Taking action had brought a clarity that was liberating. With Derek and Laura, boundaries were firmly established. They remained part of the family as they had to be, but our interactions were cordial and distant. Mike and I agreed that while forgiveness was possible, forgetting was not. Our priority now was the safety and well-being of our family. Our home became a sanctuary again, no longer a battleground of hidden resentments or veiled threats. The peace that settled wasn't just the absence of conflict, but the presence of a newfound respect among all who entered. Mike and I found joy in the simple moments, quiet evenings together, the warmth of a supportive community, and the silent acknowledgement of our shared strength. Reflecting on this journey from betrayal to empowerment, the lesson became clear. Standing up for oneself and for others isn't just about confronting conflict, it's about fostering healing. Derek's future was now his to mend or further damage, but our path was clear, full of hope and promise. As we closed this chapter of our lives, I looked forward to a future where integrity and courage would define our family's legacy. And for anyone listening, remember, it's not just about weathering the storm, but learning to dance in the rain.